What is up, my Lorcana Goons? And welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching the Quest with the Guest podcast, where Zach and I sit down with an Illumineer. Today, we are hanging out with second place from DLC Seattle. We have Shawn, Leung, aka Panda Omega, over here. You just finished in second place running Amber Steel. We're from Southern California. My guy, introduce yourself to the community and tell us about your Amber Steel run.
Yeah, so one, thanks for having me on. I watch your guys' content. I'm always lurking around. But yeah, my name is Shawn. I love to play Steel Song, Amber Steel. I represented SoCal. Didn't think I was gonna make it that far, but you know what? I did it. So about my run, yeah, I'll just start off saying I was 104. Um, so I told myself jokingly I was in the comfort zone. I had to perform. Made my way up to day two. Played on the draw all the time, and I'm still processing it all. So like still taking it in, but I'm glad that I got to meet everyone, you guys, and feel everyone's.
Yeah, Amber Steel is a deck that I am not super good with personally. There's a lot of lines with that deck that I think I would need to practice in order to pick up a deck like that. And I feel like in going into like a DLC meta, everybody was like very prepared for the Diablo Emerald Steel situation that was going on. But one of the things about Amber Steel that I've always felt uncomfortable with was that when you play against Ruby Sapphire, it almost feels like you have like a tougher than usual matchup. Obviously that's like a tougher matchup for you, but what warrior matchups good throughout the whole weekend?
One green purple, one blue steel. Surprisingly, one red blue. So you could say I dodged it. One blue purple, and I would say one mirror. Everything else was like 4 to 5 green steels, red purple. Um, Basically that. Sorry, I'm not saying the stone or material. I'm saying the colors. Um, but yeah, if I were to kind of dive a bit more on why it's just one red blue, I think it's because I was just drawing all the time. Honestly, my belief was it's either red blue was doing really well, or they're in the aggro pit and they're doing not that great and they're at the bottom. So as I was stuck in the middle, I was just seeing more green steel, more red purple all the time. Less blue red or red blue. So you could say that was a strategy.
That's that's what it takes sometimes. I'm sure you've heard me share before that my Vegas event ran very well day one because I queued the zero red blues, and in Seattle I faced more than I've ever faced in the whole time I've been playing. I played against 8 that whole weekend, 3 during the main event. So it happens. The matchups and the variances is something that you really have to consider. And so I'm curious. I know why, but share with the community why you decided on Amber Steel for this event.
Yeah. Zach, you know why I think we've played together before. Since the beginning, I was always a steel song player. Even when it was getting more shaky with the emergence of red blue. I felt very confident in Vegas. Sadly, I wasn't a competitor, but I felt very confident in that event. Yeah, like that's it. I just really love the song mechanic. I love the idea that I get to kind of ramp differently rather than playing a 5 cost that was a 5 cost song. I get to play a 3 cost that sings a 5 cost. So the way of ramping blue red, not to derail things, but that deck is scary.
Blue red is definitely scary. Again, the reason why I'm not too big of a fan of running Amber Steel myself, feels like the matchup is just it's just that polarizing. But I also feel like you have a lot in this deck nowadays to deal with that matchup. You're playing the package of Daisy Ducks, Mies, Lawrence. Obviously, we have Rapunzel's in there. All these characters quest for 2. You even have the Shift Queen, in your deck, and the Shift Queen applies a lot of pressure in the early game too. That can also quest for 2. How many times were you closing the game out with these aggro characters early, and or how many times were you able to take it into like a later game strategy?
I would say that so specifically for blue red or just throughout.
In general, because I feel like against like a lot of different color patterns, depending on what you draw, you can kind of take that take your hand and really kick it up.
Yeah. So I would say I didn't take the aggro route as much as I thought I was going to be taking it. I would say that for a card like Daisy Duck, um, great stat line, double-edged sword, quest is for 2. However, I think something that not all players consider is the moment you quest with Daisy Duck, you are essentially saying, I'm going to start the timer. If you start questing her turn 1, you're setting the timer, you're going to start going aggressive, they need to answer you, you're potentially giving them a card. Can you do something in the next 2 turns to kind of equalize the advantage maybe getting? If not, then you're basically getting 4 lore in 2 turns. They might just turn it around. So I think about myself as playing aggressive when I guess when the cards fall in place. That makes sense. So Daisy Duck, playing it in the beginning, who am I up against? In the next 3 turns, are they able to answer? No? Then great. Do I have an exit plan? I didn't really go as aggressive. If anything, the games that I won were going wide, establishing board, knowing when to start the clock. I was always afraid of my opponents getting prepared.
If you would have asked me what a list, like what type of Amber Steel deck was gonna like be played at the DLC, I don't think it would have looked like this. Like I was watching Zach build his Amber Steel list and keeping up with some other like tournaments that I had seen online, but some of these cards had caught me off guard, like the return of the Gaston, the 3/3/3, that can sing 5, which plays her own brawl and stuff like that, or the addition of Baloo in Amber Steel. Like I'm so used to people playing something like Piglet instead, or anything like that. But there's a lot of different tech cards you can use in this deck. Bare Necessities, even something like Criminal Mind, depending on how you're running it. What are some of your favorite like tech cards that you can play in Amber Steel that you either played at the DLC or you played in general since you I've been playing Amber Steel since the beginning of the game.
I would say Gaston has grown on me a lot. I think every set I've always tested it, seeing if I liked it or not. I always threw 1 or 2 in, wasn't feeling it. Then I tried 3 to 4. I'm like, okay, now I'm getting the idea of consistency and wanting. Combined with Naveen, they kind of serve different purposes, but in a way, they do have an overlap on why I want them there. Sing a 5-cost song, um, and in a way, one plays more catch up, the other one is more proactive. Gaston is a card that's going on me a lot. Being able to hold a whole new world, I think that is something I had to utilize during the DLC. Let's say I am going against red purple. Um, Usually I can see myself retaking board, but I will burn out. I'm digging for a whole new world. I'm looking for that. But with Gaston, it kind of guarantees I have my backup plan established. I get to refill my hand. I get to decide when I want to dump my hand beforehand. Um, too much hands in the sentence, but yeah, basically that. Gaston's great, but Baloo's also a card that kind of helped close the gap. Blue red. Um, I think a player like Zach could maybe attest to how getting your Robin Hood Medusa isn't great. It gets to a point where you're just playing Robin Hood just to quest for 2 sometimes, not even this or either or. Um, Queen kind of does the job there. Baloo closes the gap. Sometimes that 2 lore is everything you need.
Yeah, I definitely felt the fury of Baloo over the weekend. Pretty tough card. Pretty it's a goat. It's like a goat for Amber Steel, and then you guys are playing like all these 2 questers now that are just like power cards is what it feels like. I really like Amber Steel. It's cool. It just reminds me of like traditional like card gaming. Like you're playing heavy bodies, you're gaining tempo, you're using strategies like singing. One of the crazier things with Amber Steel is like digging for your outs because you have to use stuff like Aerial, Rapunzel, Storm Rage on. You have a lot of ways to draw from your deck as you like progress your turn. So there's a lot of lines and a lot of decision making, right, Zach?
The good thing too, I kind of like the Baloo in this build of your deck because if say you have the shift queen line and against red blue on the draw, they're gonna go popsicle turn 2 ramp, turn 3 like Tala. If you're able to drop like the blue, you can like totally cut them off from removing that queen. You're able to get a lot of questing value. They can't really remove it outside of challenging. And the nice little like cherry on top is that like you can go really wide early on, seeing the whole new world, and even just quest and giving your characters extra strength to take down some locations. I'm sure it came up in some of your games against the red purple. Did you ever like test other cards? Did you have a different deck list a couple days before the event? I know my list kind of changed like every once in a while. I played different cards, of course, but share with us your experience.
Yeah. So I was definitely experimenting with like all the lists people were talking about in the 20 lore disc, constantly lurking, but definitely like I'm wanting to be more of the conversations these days. Life gets in the way. It's hard to kind of always message everybody. But I saw a list from Wojciech, um, and he's somewhere out there, somewhere. Um, and I saw a list from Wojciech, and I was always interested in trying out what he feels is, I guess, working for his book, and try to see the different perspectives on why Gaston is really the card. Why is he running non? Why is he a strong believer of three Chen Pos? So I tried it out. I really liked it. Um, it I felt like I had that consistency feeling right there, but I really missed the shift. I don't know. Maybe that's just like something that stuck with me with older sets. So I kind of took that and I applied it with my original build of running shifts. So Gaston's mixing it with um, another player in the Discord turned out to have like similar build, 2 to 3 cards away. I wasn't running Baloo's. I was running a fourth Lawrence. I was running one World's Greatest. Um, and through further testing, the hardest thing to cut was the fourth Lawrence. I just really like the curved number. The easy cut was a World's Greatest Criminal Mind, but I wasn't opposed to dropping a bare necessities. So I was super indecisive. However, the day before, Chris Oyola, one of the top Amber Steel players, he puts in the message that he got like wrecked on Friday. It was like a good thing for him to test out the water, see what he changed, and he vouched for Baloo. So I was like, you know what? I will go for the Baloo. I would go for this build by Elias. Give it a shot. It's something I'm already really close to, and I think I could adapt to Baloo's.
Chris Loyola is a really good player. For any Lorcana Goons watching who don't know who he is, pretty solid with making top cut at the DLC. So definitely would respect what he's talking about too there. And I'm pretty sure that message alone is the reason why all my Amber Steel matchups felt like they were playing Baloo. It was like it's funny. It's like Baloo and Finders Keepers. Those were like some of the meta spice cards that you people were teching in their deck, that like if you know kind of players, and it still wasn't. I don't think it's anything about like gatekeeping. I really do think it's about how active you are in these communities, like the week of, like we've said it before on the channel. Lorcana's metagame changes week by week, bro. Like it's crazy, from Shimmering Skies alone, we saw the hyper aggro go from red blue dominating, and then all of a sudden green steel wins DLC, and then now we're seeing location decks in top 32. Like there's so much happening. There's so much happening in this game where like keeping up in the discords, keeping up with the channels, even in my opinion, helps a lot. If do you have any like shout outs, any spaces that you want to like mention to the community that maybe helped you get to where you are today, other than Tony Lord Pro Discord?
Yeah, yeah. So besides 20 Lore Pro Discord, in the beginning I was in Zan's Discord, the Club Lorcana. And honestly, just kind of watching either you guys, I think Kana Villain, Team Labyrinth's podcast. Like basically I was just absorbing a whole bunch of people's, and it's not to really discredit anyone, but I kind of just take what works. I think I'm really glad that people put out content in general, you guys. Um, Having information kind of be more secretive. I see when it matters, when let's say you're gonna at Worlds or totally fine. But if you want more data, you want more people to test out decks, you want more ideas thrown out there, tested. Um, Maybe someone figure out a new archetype to the same color pairing. That'd be great if it was great that you guys are just throwing out ideas. Sorry if I went on there, but all that info you guys put out there, you know, kind of contribute to all of that. And, yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, man. No, it means a lot.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, for real.
Yeah, I feel like I try with some of the content we make. I've always viewed myself as a competitive player first, and then or a content creator first actually, but then a competitive player second, and then a collector third. Because I like the game, and I'm really into the concept now of collecting the sealed product and getting into vending and stuff. But competitive play is my thing, man. We probably haven't crossed paths, Shawn. Maybe we have though, but I know you play a wild card cyclone. You said. And I don't go out there too much because I'm more in South LA. And then I was just grinding on Pixelborn. I was a Pixelborn bandit when it was still around. Did you play Pixelborn at all?
I I played for sure. I think I grinded it out for maybe the last week or two before
Before the
it
shutdown.
went. Before it went.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
But yeah, rest in peace, Pixelborn. But yeah, I think those were the main times I was grinding it out.
Yeah, no, it's important, and I think the key to success is to always go on YouTube and watch some streaming content and get what you can get. I can solve a lot of problems just by asking, how to fix this on YouTube, and there's some of these videos telling me what to do. Same thing applies to trading card games. Same thing applies to coaching and that kind of level. So yeah, all of that information is out there. Speaking of information being out there, day 2 of a DLC, deck lists are out. Can you tell us what you did and took into preparation for that? I can share with you guys right now that our teammate Chris Martinez had to play against Shawn first round into day 2, and I have all the cards to build decks to play against it, but didn't have to change much. So can you share with us what kind of steps you took when you knew what you were up against?
Yeah, yeah. I One of my good friends was with me, and he had all the cards to mimic my opponent's build. One thing we did not expect was 61 cards. We only had 60 sleeves, and we need an extra sleeve, so we're going through his trade binder
Haha.
looking for a sleeve. Um, but we found a sleeve. He sleeved up the deck, and we started just a normal game. I actually lost, and I was telling him why I lost, and what I wouldn't want him doing. And that was after just second game we played open hand, had a open discussion. Me actually trying to help him out on what I wouldn't want him to do, and that kind of came full circle to the next day. Played. I knew exactly what was happening. I knew Zach was helping for sure. I played against Zach once or twice. I'm I think this is only something a Steel Song player would. But I was prepared for that. I was prepared for one, a backup plan on how to retake board, and two, just kind of tempering myself to not be. I think some people get impatient with thinking about I should be an aggro deck, be mid range, questing by now. But it's important to kind of realize the board state and not kind of set yourself towards an expected outcome. That will affect your decision.
That's super important to remember. Super crucial. I tell people all the time, Lorcana is a strategy game. It is a game of patience. You get rewarded in this game for having a strategy and for sticking to that strategy throughout the entire match. And that's why I really like this game, because there's times where I have a hand and I'm if I just stick to what I know, I can let my opponent quest a turn. I can maybe just make a good trade and keep them off keep them off that 10 lore. If I could just slow roll it sometimes, I can see the cards that I need and then or dig for what I need, and you just get rewarded because the game is a strategy game. And sometimes you don't because there's luck there, obviously. But I think for the most part, like you said, you prepared and you went in with that mentality of I have a strategy. I'm gonna practice my against my opponent's decks. Shout out friends, by the way, because yeah, Zach and I we built your deck, and Chris, my cousin, so and Zach was like, oh, I know Shawn, he plays in SoCal, and it's always a shame when like two people from the same area have to duke it out, but yeah, man, we played too, we open handedly discussed and we practiced, and I think that helps a lot. That helped a lot too. And at the end of the day, it's really just about the love of the game and like the two people who are both great at the game, trying to see who can, who's either gonna mess up first or who's gonna get the cards they need first. Going into top 32, 16, top 8, top 4, bro. You said you were on the draw. You were going second because you had the lower seed, and you still managed to make it all the way up there. There's so many players. I know so many players. They lose the die roll and immediately they think I lost this match. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about like the dice roll situation, going first, going second? Is it because you're playing Amber Steel? Did it not matter in general with card games? How does it make you feel?
I think in this game, especially for Amber Steel and meta, I tried to use that to my advantage. Um, so for example, let's say green steel or blue red, or maybe red purple. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong. I know there are there. You kind of mold for the same thing. Maybe depending on the matchup, you might prioritize one card over the other, but you kind of mold for the same thing. Now, imagine being an Amber Steel player and you're going second or first. You don't know your matchup. Are you keeping Smee or are you keeping Ursula Vanessa? And you expect there's a lot of blue red out there. What do you do? So I kind of took it to my advantage by going second. Actually, I think I only won like 3 die rolls out of the 9 Swiss, and I chose to go second. Um, my reason being was, one, I get an extra. That card could be a Smee. I could ink it. If it's lets the Storm Rage on, if they have the Ursula to rip it out as a green steel player, sure. If they don't, that's all right. But I kind of use that to my advantage to kind of pad myself to get as much information. So the next round, I could be on the play knowing what I want. If I went against blue red, now I know I want to. Now I know I want to maybe keep a Gaston in whole new world against red purple. So yeah, I do agree that going second is tough, especially if your opponent knows what they're up against. But at the end of the day, they might mess up their mold too. So going second, use it to your advantage. And I guess to round things back, Steel Song is one of those decks where it is rough doing the blind mole like that. Other decks might have an easier time, but I could be wrong.
What about in Top Cut when you know your opponent's deck list? You had to go second all of Top Cut. What did you think then?
Oh, you're right. I had to go second for sure. One thing I kept in mind was generally in the matchup, how do I kind of retake? How do I make them answer? Um, Going second for sure gets me nervous, but at the same time, putting myself in the opponent's shoes, they might also brick. They also don't have the card I expect them to have. For example, it's not every time they have a turn 5 Maui, turn 6 Medusa, turn 7 B Prep. I kind of need to just tell myself, like, it's either they have it or they don't, but I'm going to stick to my game plan. And if they do have it, I'm prepared for it. I'm just going to expect the worst and have an out.
Okay, so you want to reclaim board. You always want to make sure you're playing around the specific cards. And then after that, you got to put them on. They have it or they don't. And that's one of the things, too. You got to respect the cards and play around them. But there are points in the game where there's a path to take that leads you to victory. There's a path that doesn't, there's a path that does. And sometimes you got to have a little bit of luck and tell your opponent, you don't, if you have this on turn 5 and turn 6 and turn 7, then you win. But if you don't have any of those, then I win. And that's really the winning play sometimes. That's really cool, Shawn. I'm very excited that you got second place. What number was your golden Mickey, by the way?
I believe it's 273.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted a fun number like 420 or
That's what I hear. I feel like that one and 69 have not been released yet or revealed yet. But are you gonna get it graded? Do you want to reveal what you're gonna do with it?
I definitely plan on getting it graded. I'm still soaking in like everything from Seattle. Yeah, taking it one step at a time. Definitely, I'm getting some messages. Don't know what to do with them. Like, just gonna get it graded first, and I'll figure out what happened.
Nice, man. I'm really excited. We get to go to Continentals, man. And now that you're done with the Seattle DLC and we're on to set 6, are you thinking about sticking with Amber Steel?
I, as much as I love it, I know, to my knowledge, I haven't seen all the cards. I didn't see any songs that make me jump out. Saying, wow, it's a great song. Steel Song will 100% use this. So not to burst anyone's bubble if they're a fan of Steel Song, but I will definitely consider other archetypes. I don't want to kind of like bubble myself in. I think the Sapphire archetype. There's a lot of buzz around that.
Yeah.
I think Wreck-It Ralph is a pretty cool card. Saw the legendary Simba, the legendary Tiana. Those cards caught my attention, and that one Emerald card with Jafar, you just your opponent's entire hand.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that doesn't sound fun, but I'll have to just kind of keep myself, my mind open, try things. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for set 6. I actually want to go ahead and share my screen so we can add some set 6 cards into your Amber Steel deck if you're down. That we're going to go ahead and get this going. I want to add some cards like the Simba Pride Protector. If you don't know what this does, they shift 3 Simba at the end of your turn. If this character is exerted, you may ready your other characters. So it does kind of add to that aggro package. But what do you guys think? You guys are the Amber Steel Goons, not me. Would you add this to your deck?
I would want to test it out. I think it's a fun card. One, I wouldn't know like how much of the deck to change to get in there. I know there's a lot of Simbas you could shift to. I know there's Pride Lands. Yeah, I think this Simba is a really fun card, and I would like.
I went ahead and put 3 in there. Just to that sounds like a reasonable number, right, guys? So we can draw it. Not too bad, not too bad. And you mentioned the Wreck-It Ralph. This isn't an inkable 2. So that's the unfortunate part about it. But I want to put 1 in here. Let me just put 1 in here just to see if we draw it, right? There's also some other cool Amber cards coming out, like some Winnie the Pooh Pirates, some Tuk Tuks. This is the Tiana card you mentioned. So many uninkables, though. I feel like we're going to have to really consider certain strategies. This is a uninkable 3-drop 1/4 quest for 2. Whenever a character of yours is challenged while this character is exerted, the challenging character gets -3 strength this turn unless their player pays 3 ink. So that's a mouthful. That's a lot. Not my favorite. What do you guys think?
My only thought is that there is a lot of like princess support, Queen Censor's Core, which is something to consider. And this card does protect like all your characters. Like there's no way like your opponent's gonna have to spend some time removing this before they can remove anything else, right? They're gonna have to challenge the Tiana, and I'm sure that the card will see a lot of play in more aggro strategies, right? Steel Song might fall out of the Song strategy and just become an Amber Steel aggro deck. That's more of my thoughts into it because of there's also that I don't see it on here, but that Gontu, it's a 5-cost inkable 4/3, but it has 4 lore.
That one's
4
crazy.
lore.
That card's crazy.
Yeah, so that one like could see some play too. Being able to just quest to be like 1/4 of the job done is like incredible. Or sorry, 1/5 of the job done. So the idea that the Steel Song deck might fall out of favor just might only be because of like how the other decks like seem to approach the meta. If we have like a heavy discard deck, it might be good to empty out your hand and be more low to the ground, especially if like control Sapphire decks pop out. Again, Shawn, you did say you weren't too keen on all the cards being released, but what are some of your thoughts?
I agree with you, Zach. I think it's important to realize that Steel Song is an archetype within the Amber Steel colors or material. But since we're getting more cards, we should kind of consider how there might be room for a second archetype, a different way of approaching the color pairing. Some people will say it's Steel Fasa, but maybe you don't need Mufasa in it. You could still have the general idea, but play around with the cards.
The deck,
Um,
Zach. He's talking about the deck. No, I do want to shout out Alvin Lorgane's top 16 for getting top 16 at the DLC Seattle with the Steel Faucet deck. That was really cool. But yeah, I feel the exact same way, man. I feel like there's definitely ways to explore this deck without the way we view, with the way we think of Amber Steel Song. You know what I mean? Like you could probably still play Amber Steel, the color pairing, without playing the Amber Steel deck the way we're used to. You know, and that's one thing. One other thing too. Oftentimes I see people like get discouraged or like talk on Facebook like, oh, the meta's so dull. Like, look how many there was like 8 Ruby Amethyst decks it said in the top 64. But like, bro, did you look at those lists? Like, 2 of them are burn decks. One of them is playing locations. The other 3 aren't playing like Cusco Flynn anymore. The other one's not playing CC. Like, there's so many ways to actually play the color pairings other than just the way you play them. But let's get on and back to adding some of these cool cards. Zach, I know you mentioned that we don't have the Gontu, unfortunately. I kind of like this card, but there's no pirates in this build, so we're not gonna add that. But is there any other cards that
Mr. Smee is the only one, I think.
you want to add the shifts me? Oh,
No,
to
Mr.
get the
Smee is the only one.
For the Jim Hawkins, right? For his ability to get a pirate.
Correct.
Yeah, not my favorite. I like that he's a 7 cost inkable. I don't think there's any other crazy Amber characters to play immediately. But let's see any items. Are there any items we could play? We have the Poo Pirate Ship to get back a Mr. Smee. Lower the strength, a draw a card and discard a card. That's not my favorite. Choose a character, give it bodyguard. Let's look at the songs, because you're right. So far, we've only gotten this song reveal that I won't give in. Return a character card with 2 cost or less from your discard to your hand. Not my favorite. And then I'm Still Here. Chosen character gains resist +2 until the start of your next turn. Draw a card. How do you feel about that one?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I know some people were testing when will my life begin. It basically prevents a character from challenging. You also get to draw a card. Basically, see this servicing the same thing, kind of, but still different. Yeah, the songs don't really stand out to me, but who knows? I could be wrong. I'm always open to being.
Of course, of course. We have some locations too during an opponent's turn whenever a character is banished. Here, gain a lore. Not my favorite. And then you have an alien or robot here. Location can't be challenged. So nothing too wild. Did I miss any like interesting characters you think that you guys remember? In the meantime, while I scroll down. But if not, I think we're just gonna add some Simbas into this deck. Whenever you play a character, chosen character can't be challenged. Not my favorite. Oh, there's the John Silver that we can shift into, but we don't have that in green in sapphire and amethyst steel, right? Amber Steel. Gosh.
You know, that location deck runs John Silver. I haven't gotten to test with it, but what,
Oh.
24, 28 locations? He ran John Silver. Who knows? More John Silvers, he could kind of
Yep. A shift
off.
John Silver that has resist +2. That sounds kind of crazy. All
You
right,
just
so
have 6 locations and then top deck that John Silver. It's just like lethal. That card's impossible to remove unless you're playing Ruby.
that would be wild. In the meantime, let's just go ahead and add some Simbas to this deck, shall we?
Sure.
One sec. I don't know why it's.
So my first thoughts probably lean towards like if we were to play this deck, we wouldn't play like most of like the song cards, like probably cutting like Gaston's, Ariel's, Cindy's, Vanessa's, and just leaning way more into an aggressive route. You could play like Cindy still, and a couple Vanessas, but I don't see you wanting to play Ariel anymore. I know there were some aggro Amber Steel decks that have made day 2 in the past DLCs. I think Boomy Jr. was the one to do it, both Vegas and in Seattle. So it's probably my first thought is that you're leaning more in the into the character strategy.
So you say you wouldn't play Gaston?
Or Ariel, no, I'd probably cut those.
Okay. So let's try that. Shawn, what do you think? What do you think do we take? How many Lawrence do we play right now? We're at 66 cards. I added 4 of the 1-drop Simba, the 2-drop Simba, and then we have the 3 of this Simba.
You know, I just really like Lawrence, but for the sake of testing, I'm fine if we just drop him down to like 2, just slowly trimming things off.
Okay. We need to force me because he's just that good, right?
Me is just great. I agree with Zach. If we're gonna be trimming songs, we don't really need Naveen. Also,
Okay.
that also helps lower the unknowable count that we added Simba.
Right now we're at 60 cards. I took out all the singers, and we ended up leaving 2 Lawrence, and then we put these Simbas in here. We left the Queen. I left 1 Wrecker up, but we don't have any items or anything to pop off the Wrecker off on our own merit. I kind of want to play Lantern in this deck, low key, because of that. But what do you think? You think Lantern's necessary?
For the sake of it, let's throw it in for fun. We could maybe take out some Baloos.
Oh, yeah, okay. I like that. I like that. We'll take out Baloo, and even though Baloo's really scary, we'll throw in 2 Lantern. And we'll
I
take
do
a
think a revamp, like a harder step back to reevaluate the deck needed. Who knows? Maybe Tinkerbell is needed. Maybe the Gaston or Doc needed.
To be
It kind of
honest,
strays away from the song.
I think we play 4 of the new Simba before you play any copies of Lawrence. As crazy as it sounds, I think we want to focus more on our 1s and 2s. Not lean so far heavy into that late game strategy. I mean, you want to play that Wrecker Ralph so bad, but that's like the first card I'm cutting 100% of the time.
I wanted to try it out. Okay, let's cut out Lawrence. Let's cut out Wrecker Ralph. You're right. Wrecker Ralph's not. He's just not it
Let's
today.
add 4 of those new Simbas.
The new Simba, the 2-1-4.
No, 4 of the shift.
Oh,
line.
there. Oh,
3.
4. Oh, 4 for 4. I see. Okay. And do we ever play Rockstar Stitch in this deck, or Pride Lands, or just Pride Lands for the sake of playing Pride Lands with Simba?
I'm not opposed to just testing. All of this is testing.
We'll put in 2 Pride Lands. Just shove in the 2 Pride Lands and see how much we can really milk this this location synergy.
Gotcha. I'm wondering what's our uninkable count.
Okay, 2 Pride Lands, 6, 9.
Do we need
13.
those Zeuses? Like keep it real. Can we cut Zeus to maybe like 1?
Yeah, we're
to keep
we're
it
like at
real,
20
I do agree that the aspect of Steel Song here is shifting. I'm not opposed to if this becomes more like a different version of Steel Fossil. It is hard to kind of cram all these songs in.
Yeah.
And the uninkable count, I understand that. We could get the Simba out. We could keep some songs. We could try out the Pride Lands. I'm open to that.
I actually cut the Pride Lands to 1 just because we were at like 21 uninkables. But since we're playing so many Simbas, I want to shove in the Simba Son of Mufasa at 2 to even 3 to round it off, since we're going to be shifting a lot or something, right?
So I would probably, and it's because we don't have it on Ink Table. I know I would be trying out this Gontu.
Oh yeah, the Gontu for sure.
I also think we need to be playing Docs.
Yeah.
I think 2 Doc. I honestly think this Pride Land's got to go. If I'm being honest with you, I think we got to play Docs.
Sure.
And I think
Doc is a good card. I like Bold Knight.
Yeah.
2 Doc Bold Knight.
You gotta play a couple Doc. Yeah.
I like 2.
Play a couple Docs.
I like 2. All right. Save and close. We're gonna run this into an Emerald Steel deck, specifically Emerald Steel Set 5 Zan Sayed's deck on Ink Table. So let's see if we can get this new symbol off, huh? Okay, oh look, there we go. We opened up Queen. We have Simba Protective Cub, the new Pride Protector Simba, the Queen, Son of Mufasa, Storm Rajon, and then Strength of a Raging. What do you do, guys? I like this Queen shift, but I also like this Simba shift. This is crazy.
This is a new ballpark for me.
Curve. Yeah, you have an interesting curve. So I don't think we're going to be keeping the far left 3 cards. I think we're always full sending those back. And I think there's a world where we can just keep those cards. It's fine. I like finding the 1-drop Simba, but I don't want to just throw away the 2-drop and the shift line. There's a world where we might just ditch the Queen line until way later, because I can just imagine you protect the Queen with the Protective Cub, then you protect it again with the shift Simba, and then you shift quest and potentially protect it again. So I just throw those 3 back and see what we get. What do you think about that, Shawn?
We're going for it. It's a full send already.
Yep. All right. We drew another big Queen, a Doc, and a Rapunzel off of that. Got an Inca card for turn. What do we start
out with? That Doc
is
crazy for the reload. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That Doc is a great reload tool. I think
Ink Rapunzel, right? Since we're gonna reload with Doc anyways.
I'm not opposed to inking the Queen.
The shift Queen, me too.
If we're gonna go to the Doc, we don't necessarily know what their lines of play are yet. we want to keep a backup.
Okay. So ink a big queen, play a little queen. We got one of the queens there.
I think it's
Pass turn.
important to remember, Kevin, that this deck very much needs to play to its outs. So having all your options open as possible is just part of the game plan.
Okay, so
I know what I want to do.
They inked the Bruno and they played Diablo, by the way. And then we drew Storm for turn.
Yep. Now we come to a decision here where we have to decide what to ink. If we're gonna be going for the Let the Storm Rage On, that way we could get the Shift Queen, pop it, cycle a card, and they might have a Morph or a Nurse. That's what we're probably expecting, right? At worst, they have the nuts and they're gonna shift Diablo and Papa. So I'm not opposed to inking the Simba, but I want to play that Simba. I don't know why.
I know. I want to see hit the board too.
You want to see the new Simba go off.
I want to see the new Simba. So why don't we ink the Rapunzel? I know a part of me says no, but I want to see the Simba.
And then shift queen and pop it, right? Because then we lose to Storm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I definitely want to see this Simba go off, and then this dock could be really good for us. Okay, Lantern, not bad. All right, they're gonna ink a Ursula, and you called it. They play a Morph on 2. Oh, and he's gonna ditch a strength to shift Diablo. You called it. You called it. Okay, so our hand's a little weird. A lot of uninkables. Maybe shouldn't be playing Lantern in this deck. My fault. That was with the Wreck-It Ralph though, so maybe with that Wreck-It Ralph Lantern wasn't necessary. So is our only play? No, we have 2 plays. We can ink Simba, play Lantern, and play Doc, or we could just ink Simba, play Lantern, sing a whole new world.
Going through my mind, it's either we could ink Simba, play the Lantern, sing Wheel, check out our new hand, or if we want to really maximize just wanting to play that Simba, we could play the Simba and just wheel and try to look for another Simba. But I would probably ink the Simba here, play the Lantern, and wheel, just to maximize card use.
I like that too, especially with the Diablo there. I don't want that to happen next turn. And we'll probably draw some more Simbas. Ooh, he discarded like 3. He discarded Hypnotize and double Storm Rage on, and we drew double Storm and a Smee, double Daisy, and Cindy. This is crazy. Because we can play our 1-drops because of Lantern now. So who do you play?
I want to kind of propose a threat by making sure I do have Cinderella. Sometimes if you just play a 1-drop queen and you really don't have anything, you're kind of just baiting the opponent. So let's go put the Cinderella down.
Okay. Do you use the other ink you have left over to play a Daisy or a Queen?
Yeah. So let's do a Daisy duck.
A Daisy.
We don't know if we need ink.
If we need the ink. Okay, you're right. I like that. Considering your ink, so you play the uninkable instead. It's a 1/4. Like you said earlier, we got to decide if we're going to hit that clock soon. They're going to do sudden chill. What do you discard? The Queen?
I would say...
Or the Daisy?
Honestly, this is a tough decision.
This is what's crazy about Lorcana. It's these decisions when you're in like game states like this where you really have to decide like what you're going to do, what's your strategy, and like where to go from there. Because I think these can sway the game.
I think we could drop the Queen.
You said the Queen?
Let's go for the clock. So we could drop the Queen.
And they pass. And we drew Shift Simba, 6-drop. Not really what we wanted here. Good stats, but not good for this matchup. So this is probably just going to be ink depending on what we do. We need to get rid of this Diablo, right? And we sing Storm. Do you sing it with Cindy?
Yep, sing it with Cindy.
All right, they are going to draw a card because that's Lorcana rules. We draw a card, and we got another wheel. Okay,
All
so...
right. This is great.
Yeah.
You see it, right? You see the line?
I think I know what to do. We just slap all our characters and then sing wheel, right? That's what we Daisy first.
With Daisy
we Daisy first.
We Daisy first. Yep. Make sure to
first.
ink that Simba.
All right, so we're going to ink Simba. We're going to go ahead and use our Lantern first. Play this Daisy for free. Then we get to play this me. We're gonna quest with Daisy first because if they add a card, then we get rid of it with Whole New World, and they get look at that, they're adding Ursula.
That's a great one.
Beautiful, beautiful, and this is just what Amber Steel will be doing. This is Amber Steel at its finest right here. This is why Daisy Duck is so good. If you guys didn't realize, because it just makes cards irrelevant. And now we have a shift symbol line. Let's go.
All right, let's go for it. Let's go for
All
it.
right, let's go for it. We're gonna play one Simba. Yes, I like to trigger.
Let's
Draw. Duh. We need Doc or Whole New World. We don't need Doc, right?
I think we get rid of the. Wait, no. Let's get rid of the Whole New World. Play around Ursula. We don't need that anymore.
You're right. You're right, Zach Stone. You can play around Ursula now. We could even do this again and make sure that we don't. Well, we have a target because they don't play Grab Your Swords. Green Steel does not play. We drew a song. Do you think we need this last Simba? Probably not, right? We can get rid of it.
Probably not.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking. All right, cool. And now we just pass. We're super wide, and we can quest with everything and ready them all back next turn because of our big Simba. Oh, Ursula. No, Zach was right. We were supposed to discard the songs. Zach was right. We're supposed to discard the songs. We got punished. We got punished for not listening to Zach. I forget that. Exactly. If I would have ditched this song and followed that same rule, he would not have gotten value there. And obviously we're winning, but that could be the difference. All right.
Let's just turn everything sideways.
Let's do it. Let's do it, gang. So we're gonna go ahead and shift this Simba.
Wait a second. Oh, I was gonna say Lantern.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Fine.
Yes,
still good.
Yes. What I do want to happen is we can ink and then Lantern and play the Pete after.
So the Pete.
Yeah. So now we don't.
Yep.
Now we can't get got. All right, and now we'll quest with all of our glimmers. Quest with all glimmers. Yep. Let's go ahead and you have to resolve Queen. Interesting. It's mandatory. Okay. At this point, we don't care if they're getting Daisy Duck cards because we're just gonna end the game. And even if they have characters on board, at the end of this turn, our trusty Simba is gonna ready back all of our characters so that he can't challenge any of them.
See it turn everything back.
I know this is crazy. All right.
Hope it doesn't break the game.
Drum roll, please. Look at that. 14 pass. Yes, I would like to. Sami went into the bag first. Sami took the damage first. Zach, that's crazy. Look, they're already. Yeah, you can't challenge any of them except for Simba. That's crazy. That's just wild. Imagine not being able to challenge my Daisy Ducks. And then we just quest and win. All right, and that's how you beat.
There we go.
And that's how you beat Green Steel with the brand new Amber Steel Simba cards. I think this has some decent potential. Maybe we don't have to play the other big shift Simba that ends up popping items and locations. But for the meantime, like here we are, big Simba. Not bad. What do you guys think?
I think the idea is out there. I think we started something. It would be great for other people to test it. Definitely, this was very fun. Just seeing the Simba, everything's turning back upright. I would want to explore this some more.
Yeah, that was barely like 5 ink too. Like, you know what I mean? We went through that really fast. Obviously, Whole New World helped us get there, but see, that one turn of spamming one drop Simba, like, and then being able to shift and ready it back, that's lethal. Like, that is just straight up lethal. You know? I think against like red blue, if we're playing Pete that same turn, I don't know, man. I just feel like there's a lot of potential here. It's a 4/4. It doesn't get got by Medusa. It doesn't get shot down by other pesky cards like Smash or Storm Rage on. So, my opinion, some high potential there. Okay. A lot of interesting interactions. I'm gonna have to call Judge, or stick around the Judge Lorcana court so I can really learn how this works and all goes down. But thank you so much, Shawn, for hanging out with us today on the episode of Quest with a Guest. Pando, everybody, second place, DLC Seattle, totally deserved. I know how competitive the Southern California scene is. You sound like you've been playing Lorcana passionately since the game came out. So congrats to you, man. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. It always feels really good when I hear that the DLC champions have watched Lorcana Goons in the past because it makes me feel like we're actually doing something. So if you want to be a champion like Shawn over here, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Shawn, do you have any shout outs? Do you have any plugs that you do, any content, anything you want to say before we call it a day?
Yeah, so you guys could reach me through Discord. Find me on the 20 Lord Discord, or here in the Lorcana Goons Discord, Pandomega. You could also find me on IG, SL_Pando. Still figuring out what I'm gonna do with the rest of my socials and such. But also shout outs to basically all the content creators. to be honest. I'm always lurking, always kind of taking in some content, seeing what works for me, what doesn't. It definitely opens me up to being wrong. Trying to really reflect on how do I be better. Shout outs to Chris Oyola. He's kind of like a mentor to me, if anything. Indirect mentor. We have Elias in the 20 Lore Discord. Shout out to all the Steel Song players there, to be honest. There's too much for me to list. And again, also to you guys for pumping out content, letting other players kind of be more informed on how the game is played, how to be a better player, what.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, well said, Shawn. And we would appreciate you having, spending your time with us. To all those still listening, we appreciate you guys for sticking around. This has been Quest with the Guest, the only podcast where you can lore for more. And we'll see you goons next time.